bitterness in our friend Amalek.
I do as well.
Oh yeah. So chapter 7, verse 22. The beasts of the field and all that. It's like, I think even if you're really committed, you can have much more. People will fear you. Like,
People will fear you?
Yeah, they can be. Like if you're like strongly committed to God, or if you're like strongly committed to some values, or like, say what you will about National Socialism, at least it was an ethos.
That's right. You stole that from The Big Lebowski. But yes.
So if you believe in something, you can be much more effective. So, like these little terrorists on 9/11, they really believed so much that they were willing to fly a plane into the World Trade Center.
Those are real.
You and I, we don't believe that much. So
right.
We haven't had as much effect. They caused like $1 trillion worth of loss to our economy. You and I don't believe so firmly.
No, we're not.
We would never
as passionate
fly a plane into a building.
No.
And so we're not as effective. And the beasts can pick that up. Like dogs can pick up the fear sometimes when I'm walking around and they start snarling at me.
Yeah. Wait, this is 722 you're quoting
from? I'm doing a mid-rush on the beasts of the field.
The beasts of the field, right.
I'm just thinking about the difference when...
but it gives you a kind of power to have the intensity of that sort of
belief. If you got a strong belief that you can accomplish...
You can take down the Trade Center.
That's
your ambition.
Or you can accomplish a lot in life.
Yeah.
If you're dedicated rather than like wishy-washy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's certainly true.
Yeah, Amalek points out that the great thing about having sex with a woman who's had 38 lovers is that it is not likely you're the worst of the lot. So that's the way of looking on the positive side. On the other hand, you would fear being subjected to invidious comparisons. You
would fear that.
Well, one could fear that.
Well, he's saying for him it's not. It's reassurance. He's not worried that the best will be better than him. He's worried. He's pleased that the worst will be not as bad as him.
Still kind of a dour outlook on
very
life.
Very dour.
No wonder the Torah commands us to hate Amalek.
Yeah.
Because 3,200 years ago, the Torah foresaw such a character would come into our chat room and try to lead us down the garden path.
And it tried to warn us off.
Yeah.
But look, there he is. Oh, one of the interesting things here was for me was that we're told that God actually wanted to destroy the Israelites after they created the golden calf. He was ready to destroy them and replace them with a better people.
Right.
And that only Moses' entreaties kept him from doing that.
Yeah, that wasn't revealed in the first 4 books of
the
Torah, so Moses is just...
He was done with us.
Moses is saying, hey, I saved you guys, so you better listen to me.
Right. And yeah, it's kind of an interesting, one of those alternative history things. What if he had destroyed the Israelites and replaced them with a superior favored people?
Yeah, Mosesites.
Mosesites. People more like Moses.
Well, it's like if my grandma had wheels, she'd be a trolley car.
Right. I suppose so.
Now, Amalek fears being subjected to new and dangerous strains of viral infection.
Why? What?
If she's had 38 lovers.
Well, you'll probably be exposed to new strains of the human papillomavirus, almost certainly, I mean, depending on your own experience. But most of those are harmless.
Now, women are much more in danger of getting STDs than guys, right? Because they're getting penetrated.
Yeah, and it's not just that, it's that they're more likely to have consequences. If a guy has chlamydia, it's not nearly as destructive as if a woman does, because a woman can become infertile from these things. Generally, STDs are more destructive for women than for men. And yes, it's transmission. It's easier.
Now, Amalek says, if I'd been God, after all that my chosen people made themselves a golden calf to worship, I'd have washed my hands of them and looked for some other tribe to choose.
Well, that's he did. I mean, he was ready to do that.
Yeah.
After the golden calf, he'd had it.
And you remember what Moses' argument was that stopped him from doing that? What will the Goyim say?
What will the Goyim say?
Yeah.
Really?
That was Moses' argument. Like,
they'll say that you'll
look bad in front of the Goyim.
You're right.
Now, Emelech contends that HPV causes face and oral cancer.
Well, certain strains of HPV, it doesn't cause them, it could be a risk factor. The big one is cervical cancer. There's a strain of HPV that makes women particularly vulnerable to cervical cancer. But, I mean, if you've had sex, you have HPV. There's
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if the woman was clean?
Yeah, you've got... HPV is more or less impossible to avoid. Just the same way you have herpes 1. I mean, almost all of us have herpes, oral herpes. It only comes out when we're immunosuppressed. But yeah, you can't keep yourself. You can't keep yourself entirely free of these things. It's not possible.
It's a jungle out there.
It is a jungle out there.
Oh, did you hear this story about this Haredi guy went into a strip club and he got a lap dance from the stripper, and she started talking to him about Charles Darwin, and he didn't know anything about Darwin. So she told him to go read the works of Charles Darwin, and he did. He went out and studied, and he read more and more about evolution, and he became an atheist.
Really? That's
Yeah.
a true story?
Yeah, I read it on the internet. So,
Wow.
so you've got to be careful when you're getting a lap dance, because many of these
Don't listen to what
strippers-
they say.
Many of these strippers are atheists, and they're also very well read and
Right.
erudite, and so you can be fooled into like reading heretical works.
Yeah,
Just to like.
because it's,
Because
especially
you're
coming
taking out the
from a
challenge,
face
yeah.
like that, they're
Yeah, you think, how could she lie to me? She's got such beautiful breasts.
Right. Wow, and Jews spend all this time fretting over Jews for Jesus, and meanwhile
Mhm.
these strippers are getting off scot-free.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Now, Emelech says that you can avoid that virus by avoiding giving oral sex to women.
Chaim, if you're looking for an excuse to avoid oral sex to women, that's fine. I personally recommend you against that. A guy who doesn't give oral sex is just you're not protecting yourself. That's an excuse. You just don't want to go down there. Admit it. You just don't like it down there.
Is it dangerous?
No, I mean it's yeah, you are increasing the strains of HPV. I mean, but you're again, there's no way really of avoiding HPV altogether. And look, if your woman has herpes 2, then don't go down on her when she's broken out, or maybe don't go down on her at all if you don't want to. But generally, it's a relatively safe activity.
Emelech says real men don't do it; they just don't.
You sound like a rapper. You sound like a rapper, Chaim Malik. If you're interested in pleasing your woman, it's a very important skill to have down. You know, you're just not committed to the satisfaction of your female partners.
It's hard to imagine why this guy's so single.
Yeah,
Why is this
yeah.
guy so single, Joey?
Maybe if you did do that, you wouldn't have to worry about being the worst of all her lovers.
Now he contends that herpes sheds asymptomatically.
Herpes what?
Sheds asymptomatically.
I don't know. You mean sheds asymptomatically, but since the large majority of us have herpes 1 in our mouths, we're asymptomatic almost all the time, except when we have cold sores. So generally, it only comes out once you're immunosuppressed.
Now Emelech contends that a real man doesn't worry about pleasing his woman.
I don't. You're someone. If you're not pleasing her, someone else will be pleasing her. That's just so. Real men. I mean,
Take it from Joey.
Well, no. I mean, do you want to get cuckolded?
Yeah, Emelech. Do you?